Hey, what's up, everyone? This patch quietly slipped in after a string of rapid-fire hotfixes following the big siege and portrait updates, and it's clear that Tarn and Zach have been grinding through bug reports like absolute legends to keep things stable. So, what's actually changed? The biggest fix everyone's been talking about involves the game freezing when the dwarves were checking burrows and storage zones. It sounds minor, but if you've ever sat there watching the game hang for several seconds, or even completely lock up, while your dwarves figured out where to stash their socks, you'll know how game-breaking that could be. This update squashes that problem, making burrow logic a lot smoother and stopping those random moments where everything would just stop moving for no reason. It's one of those background things that you might not notice immediately, but once it's gone, the whole experience feels more responsive and alive. Another thing that's been fixed, and I'm honestly glad to see it, is the issue with dwarves showing up unclothed in the various lists and screens. You'd open up a labor screen or squad menu, and suddenly half your fortress looked like they'd forgotten how to wear clothes. It wasn't actually that your dwarves were running around naked. It was more of a display glitch tied to the newer portrait and data systems that came in with the previous update. Now that's been ironed out, and your dwarves' attire properly matches what they're wearing again, which just makes everything feel less chaotic and a bit more polished. When you're managing dozens or hundreds of little bearded workers, that kind of consistency really helps. There were also fixes tied to the portrait system itself, which has been a huge new addition lately. The portraits bring so much life to the game, letting you actually see the faces of your dwarves, goblins, and visitors instead of relying purely on text descriptions. But like any new feature, it came with its share of bugs. Some faces not loading correctly, some traits not reflecting properly, that sort of thing. This patch smooths those edges, cleaning up the visual side and making sure everything loads as it should, without weird flickers or mismatched visuals. For players who spend a lot of time in the Steam version with the new UI, it's a pretty noticeable improvement. There were smaller stability tweaks too, the kind of behind-the-scenes stuff that makes saves load a bit more reliably and stops the occasional crash that could happen during long play sessions. It's that ongoing effort to keep performance solid even as more visual systems and gameplay depth get layered in. And honestly, that's what makes this patch important. It's not flashy, it's not some giant overhaul, but it's part of that constant refining that Dwarf Fortress has always needed as it grows from its ASCII roots into a fully visual modern experience. It's also worth mentioning how this fits into the rhythm of updates lately. The developers have been pushing out these smaller patches pretty quickly after major releases, and you can really feel how much community feedback plays into that. Every time a big feature lands, like sieges getting reworked or portraits added, there's a quick string of follow-ups like this one that takes all the player reports, trims the fat, and locks everything into place. It's the kind of iterative care that keeps the game feeling alive and evolving even after all these years. And, beyond the technical side, there's something kind of special about moments like this for longtime fans. Dwarf Fortress has always been this wild mix of chaos and charm, where a fix to something as small as burrow behavior can ripple through and change how you plan your whole fortress. You can build more confidently now, assign dwarves to complex work zones without dreading that frozen screen, and actually spend more time storytelling rather than troubleshooting. And the improved visuals, even if they're subtle, make your dwarves feel more real, more connected to the little stories you build for them. So yeah, this patch might not be the kind that adds new monsters, forgotten beasts, or fancy gameplay systems, but it's one of those foundational updates that keeps the whole machine running smoother. If you've been holding off loading your old saves because of stability worries or visual quirks, this is probably a good moment to jump back in. Your dwarves will act smarter, look more proper, and the game itself just feels more stable overall.